Hi, and welcome to the Relentless Marketing and PR Podcast. With me, as always, is Katie Atkinson.
And with me, as always, is Lauren Reed. We're two marketers and entrepreneurs, and we're here to share our philosophy on figuring it out, moving forward, and never giving in.
Welcome to the Relentless Marketing and PR Podcast. I'm Katie Atkinson, and with me, as always, is Lauren Reed, my co-host. And today we're here with Arnie Malham, who has a new book out that we want to talk about. But first, I really want to hear, your book is called Worth Doing Wrong, right? But it seems like you've done a lot of things wrong, but some things right. So I want to hear about your past business lives and how you got to your book.
Well, the whole concept is that I think I've done almost everything wrong, but I think that's how we all figure out how to do it right. Mm-hmm. Like we want to make the courage to make the mistake, get it right, make it better, keep moving forward, as opposed to I'm so scared to make a mistake, I'm not even going to try. And so a lot of things I talk about in the book were things that we had no business trying, but we had enough courage to do it in order to work ourselves towards success.
Failing forward.
Yeah,
right?
it really is. And by the way, I didn't always I literally have failed forward into this concept. I did what everyone did. I moved to Nashville. I had a job here and a job there. Eventually, I got fired because of my poor attitude, or potentially really good attitude, depending on how you look at it. And being essentially unemployable, I started my own company. And started doing what all new business owners do, which is act like their previous bosses. Like, this is how you do it, and do it my way, and if you aren't listening to me, you should listen to me now, and this is what, like, we start acting like the people that we didn't want to work for in the first place.
Right.
Gosh,
Right?
I'm starting to,
She's having
you're
a
speaking
moment.
truth to
She's
me.
having
I'm
a
like,
moment right
It
now.
becomes,
I don't think we do that, but maybe
I'm scared I might.
Look, I bring up a lot of uncomfortable conversations, just like when I say things like we raise our kids, we become our parents, like it's those Geico commercials, like we become I think it's Geico, but I think we become our parents, like we don't even realize it. All of a sudden we're saying things that our old bosses said that we said, I would never say that.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
And so for our listeners who actually are watching us on video right now, you're going to see Katie and I just silently sitting here having a moment.
Yeah. Take it in.
Because
Take it in.
I think that's very
I
refresh.
think I need to process that.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about the businesses that you did start and were successful in, and that you turned into your old boss. And tell us a little bit about.
And you have a marketing
career.
background, and our audience is typically marketing executives and marketing leadership.
So the business that I started after I was fired was an advertising agency. So everyone maybe can relate to that. And we had the most pristine, the most incredible upscale clients you can imagine, personal injury lawyers. That was our entire clientele. We had clients in Connecticut and Houston and San Francisco and North Carolina. And that's all we did. It was our niche, and our job was to grow their brand in their market and make them both known and likable, right? And you may have an opinion.
That's a challenge.
It is. And you personal injury lawyers, well, like them, hate them, love them, whatever you think, they help people who have nowhere else to turn.
Yeah. Right.
We found purpose in helping them help others, and that was our business.
How did you fall into that? Did you grow up saying, I want to be a personal
doesn't
injury
everybody?
lawyer ad executive?
Isn't that everyone grows up saying that? Yeah. So no, it was when I was at a TV station, the one I got fired from. I handled 2 or 3 personal injury lawyers in town, and no one else wanted to do it, and so they gave it to the new kid, and I did it. And I realized 3 things. One is the agencies that handled them really weren't that good at what they were doing, and were barely above honest, if not below honest, and that they truly were looking for help. And so it became an opportunity to see how far we could take it. And so
I'll just say, my fiance's dad is a personal injury lawyer in North Carolina, just so you know. So I think they do great work.
They do.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
People who know because they have them or someone they love needed one,
right?
And they had a good experience, and it changes your whole worldview.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my plight. And so imagine a fired new business owner doing it the old school way, trying to recruit people into an ad agency with the glorious job of making personal injury lawyers look good on TV.
Right. Yeah.
Give me the rock and let me push it uphill as far as I can, and it's not very far. And so what we realized, to shortcut to kind of what began the journey, is how do we create a culture so good that it's what people talk about, it's what people are attracted to, over and above what we're doing, who we're working for. So if I can win the people into the culture, then later I can win them over to what we're doing.
Great. Talk a little bit about the advertising agency, because the audience understands, agency world, and this isn't some small agency you grew. So
Yeah,
don't be humble here.
We started small. One client became two clients became four. Next thing you know, and really that's a shortcut. But over time, we grew to about 50 brands across the nation. We're doing about $60 million in media, creating television commercials. We're building websites. I gotta say, it's as weird as it sounds, and as many people who are say, "What's that?" is that we took these guys from Yellow Pages, right? Remember Yellow Pages?
Yeah, barely.
To TV, and then began the process of taking them from TV into the digital age. And so these were the two transitions we made with our client base. And so we needed a lot of talent and a lot of people to do that. Build commercials, build website, write copy, make people, make a brand come to life. And so we had like 70 people in the agency, and we were doing business all over the country. It was a fun deal.
Yeah, and I can imagine, though, we were talking about culture and what people want to come to work every day for.
Yeah.
Imagine that it's especially difficult working for that personality type as a client, too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know lawyers.
Right. You can sometimes, and so here's the really cool thing is that the same thing that plagues most young businesses in their growth was also plaguing them in their business growth. Like the worst thing an ad agency wants to hear, and all of you have heard this, is when a client says, "Turn off the advertising, I'm too busy." Like wait a minute, my job is to make you busy.
Right.
Your job is to figure out operationally how to handle that. And so one of the secrets to our success was to create a curriculum for our clients so that they could grow their businesses in such a way that they never said turn it off, and they always said give me more.
That's great.
Right? That was so a lot of the things we were experimenting with in our agency to build a culture and to build an operation, we then packaged and pushed to our clients for them to use.
That's
right?
great.
Again, they have the same problem we do, recruiting into a space where you might not have a favorable opinion, needing people to have long tenure, to have success, creating an operational opportunity that continues to move forward as opposed to hiccup all the time. And so we just packaged and moved it to our clients. They grew, we grew, they grew. One of our early clients said, "Arnie, I'm going to hire you. I think you're great. It's you and your wife that have started this organization, and you got a couple people helping you, and it's quaint, really.
Right.
But I'm going to grow to be one of the largest personal injury brands actually in North Carolina, and I want you to grow with me. But if you don't, I will fire you." Like that was one of the early messages in my professional career, and I thought, he's right. Like I have to grow, which means my business has to grow, which means my team has to grow, not just in numbers, but in terms of ability.
Yeah, so you did grow, right?
Yeah.
And you sold your business.
Exited. You did have a successful exit.
We did, and that's, just to kind of wrap that into a bow, is that the exit was actually to one of our largest clients who bought the agency. We took a small personal injury firm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They grew to be one of the biggest in their state. They got really good at what they did, and they did it by taking a lot of the things that we were experimenting with in terms of culture and operations, implementing it into their business, which helped them grow to such a level of success that it made more sense for them to buy us than to keep paying us.
Oh, wow.
Well, and that works out.
Yeah, it was timing for me, about 24, almost 25 years in the business, and it was time for new leadership. We are always the constraint on our business. Every owner, every boss, every CEO is the constraint on their business. The bottleneck is at the top of the bottle, and it becomes us. And it was a good time for me, and it was a great time for them. It was a win for my team. It was a win for my clients. It's now 2.5, almost 3 years later. The retention rate on the team is very high, extremely high. The retention rate on clients is extremely high, and they continue to rock the agency forward.
So no regrets.
No regrets, and everyone's cheering for the situation.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the book.
Yeah.
What prompted you to write this book?
I would go tell pieces and parts of my story, and people would love the stories that we told about how we grew. What was the moment when you realized that you were doing it wrong, right? And I know that moment because it was when a speaker had come in to talk to our clients. His name's John DeJulius. He was talking about customer service, and he was talking about what makes great customer service. And he said these 3 words as a part of his presentation. He said, "Culture reflects leadership."
Right.
oh, it hit me so hard. Like I realized that all the things I was griping about my team and what they did and what they didn't do and how much I had to stay on them and how much they didn't listen, all these things, I realized that everything that I was upset about in that moment was my fault.
It is a really good thing our next guest is a therapist.
I know, because we're just having a moment.
Katie.
And so it didn't, by the way, that doesn't mean the stories pick up from there, because it's not that I went, okay, I'm perfect now, right?
Right.
It became, what's the one thing I can do better today that I wasn't doing yesterday? What's the one program I can put in place? How do we make a system out of culture as opposed to, oh, I'm fired up about it today, but when I'm stressed tomorrow, I've forgotten all about it.
Right. We joke that our agency with my leadership, we kind of have the TED Talk culture, and it's based on the latest TED Talk that Lauren watched.
Yeah. It's the what book did you read? What TED Talk did you watch?
Oh, I want to implement this.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, you get excited.
This.
Yeah,
I do. I clap.
Yeah.
I get excited.
And so the book is a story about those things and what we
Right.
learned. And the story is about all the things we did, but not just the things we did, but how we did it. And
Yes.
the goal is, the process of the book is to say, if you follow the guideline of this book, you too
Right.
can implement a culture by design and not one just by default, right?
By design, not by default. I love that.
Yeah. Everything you bring back, every idea you want to implement, it needs three things. It needs, first of all, your support,
Okay.
right? You the resources, commitment to the resources, a champion for that project that is not you, and preferably
That's where we get stuck.
not anyone on your leadership team, someone from in the organization
Right.
that wants to have a voice, right?
Oh, they all want voices.
And it's not, right. No one comes to work every day and says, don't give me anything, right? Everyone says, let me
I don't have an opinion.
let me show you what I think, right? Give them the support, the champion, and then the willingness for that champion to get it wrong.
Right.
To get it wrong, because that's the only way they're going to figure out how to get it right. You just
do it and get it wrong.
yeah, cheer for them, and they will get, with the right resources
Right.
and with your support, they will get it right. And when you come back with that next idea, it's important that you not give that one to the same person.
Right.
The new idea.
That's where we go wrong, and where I felt that, and Katie did early on in our careers,
Yeah.
is because a boss gets comfortable, they know you're going to get it
Yes,
right, or
yes.
they not necessarily get it right, they know you're going to get it done.
The Delbert principle takes over,
And then-
success begets failure.
Right.
Right? Too many things to carry. And so every culture, one per quarter is all you need, right? But a different champion, make sure you're given the resources, make sure you're not pulling the chair off from under them.
And this is so relevant as marketers, because so often culture does fall on us, these cultural initiatives
Yeah.
and programs.
Yes.
So,
And you have to market internally sometimes
Right.
at the same
You have to
time
get
or
the-
before you're marketing whatever it is
the
externally.
internal buy-in.
The champion is the internal marketing, right? Because by the way, your team would rather listen to them than you.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And if you have multiple champions in the organization pushing multiple cultural programs, because different things appeal to different people, they help each other.
Right.
Right? I know how hard you work on your project, so I'm going to participate. I'm going to be a fan. I'm going to cheer for you
Right.
because I need that same thing for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And if
Right.
they're the one that's championing it, they sort of become that expert, the champion, and their quality, I
Right.
think, would grow, right?
And your job in any good business is not to let that knowledge just live in that person's head, right? We need a checklist. We need documentation when you change something. We need to know that when you win the lottery, when you get your ticket and you say, hey, I'm taking another opportunity, and you're going to cheer for them when they do, right?
Right.
That someone else can pick up that checklist and do it that way until they find a better way.
That's
right?
a much better way to say it. Our old boss used to say when you get hit by a bus.
Yeah. No,
Or like win the lottery.
He always- the win the lottery. I know, there was always
That's so much better.
Yeah.
When you
much
get
more
hit by a
positive
bus.
way to look
right.
at it.
Right.
I know, because we do have kind of a plan if it's when Lauren gets hit by a bus.
We have an
plan.
insurance policy.
But
Well, you love it so much, even if you win the lottery, you're staying. So, but others
I would.
may
I
not.
would.
Others may not. And then, so one of our biggest programs that we did, and that now is the upstart that I'm working on, is called Better Book Club.
Yes, let's talk about
and
this.
Better Book Club
Sorry, I
is
clapped.
it's one of many cultural items that are outlined in the book. And I guess one of the biggest compliments of the book was that this isn't just a book about theory. This is someone who implemented a lot of things, got some of it right, got some of it wrong, and then listed everything so that we can R&D, rip off and duplicate, to help our own businesses. And so inside that book is the what we did, the how we did it, And so I would encourage people to grab it. It reads just like I talk, which is haphazardly, but it's okay.
And they can
short.
listen to it too,
Yeah,
right?
the Audible
You've
version is
recorded
out,
it.
and it's this wonderful voice, and you can
Arnie's
just soak it up.
And we'll link to it in the show notes too, so
yeah,
everybody can
Yeah, we'll
get
link to it in the show notes for sure. What's your favorite part of the book?
Stories are the best part of the book. I tell the story of how we came up with our core values and what they are and what they meant to what they meant to me and what they meant to our team and how it unified us. And so that's probably, people, teams struggle with that. They struggle to not so much to come up with them and put them on the wall, but to actually put them into practice.
Right.
And I think that's that's one of the things we really got wrong until we got it right. And I tell that whole story in the book.
What's your least favorite part of the book?
I'll tell you, an early draft of the book went out, and I sent it out to friends, and I said, "Hey, look at this, and tell me what you think." And some friends would give me just nice feedback, which didn't help a lot, but it was,
Right.
oh, good.
Made you feel good.
It's a good book. But other people would point out the critical parts, and one person said, "I'm just curious how many times the word I is in this book." And so I went through, I did this, I did that. And the truth is, I didn't do anything. We did, all I did was sort of set the direction. And so I was so, it was like, oh my God, I can't
That's
believe it.
humbling.
So I had to go back through, I went back through and readdressed it to the truth, which was we did this, we did that. And without the team, you have to constantly be reminded. But I want to talk about Better Book Club for just a minute, because the natural question is, well, why is it a Better Book Club? And I can do it in about 30 seconds.
Well, I know this answer now.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you share it, but you schooled me on this about a week ago.
Oh yeah, it came up in a
remember?
conversation, and I was like, "Don't do that, do this." Yeah.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Most of us do it wrong.
Yeah.
Or in my opinion, we do it wrong. And then what we do is we read a book. And we go, oh my God, this is great. My team's got to read it. So we'll go buy 10 or 20 or however many copies, and we pass them out. And we say, everyone read this book.
This
and we're
does
going
not
to
sound
talk about
familiar
it.
at all.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it in 4 weeks, right? And everyone looks at each other and goes, 4 weeks? Are you kidding me? My baby's birthday is next week. I'm going on vacation. I've got a huge project. I can't read. And I don't even like this topic. And why is she telling me what to read?
Who moved my cheese?
Right. And then,
Katie
did not
lost
like
it at our old agency. She hates parables, FYI.
Not
I hope
a
your
fan.
book is
yeah,
not
I don't
full
like
of
that kind of
parables.
book. I don't like this kind of book. I'm not ready to learn
And
that
she's
yet.
like,
Yeah.
why are we reading Who Moved My Cheese?
I didn't read it. I did sort of read
Well,
it.
that's what happens. Is a
Yeah.
third of the team reads it because they're that kind of person.
Yeah. I
always
a
read it.
third of the team does not, and the other third skims it, right?
Oh, that's
And then we come to the meeting, and everyone's mad at everybody. The people who didn't read it are pissed at the people who read it. The people who read it are pissed at the people who didn't. The ones that skimmed it are kind of smirking, and everyone hates them. And the boss gets up and talks for an hour about what they thought of the book, and everyone finally gets to go back to work. That is never sustainable, and it only works in the mind of a few. Our Better Book Club concept is this. You read anything you want, anytime you want, however you want, and if it makes you a better human being, I'm going to recognize you for it, and I'm going to reward you for it, with the goal of not you reading what I want you to read, but you creating a habit of reading what you want to read. And the more you grow, the more the team grows, the more the business grows.
I love that.
It's sustainable, it works, and it's a great thing for your team to talk about with their friends and family, and when you're recruiting in this crazy market where finding great talent is so hard.
Yeah, I love that, because just thinking about our team, I know I have recommended several books to them, and I'm like, have you read that yet? I know it'll help you. Have you read that yet? And no, they haven't.
Best of intentions, right?
Yeah.
Best of intentions. And
I don't think they even intend on reading them.
Stop telling people what to read and simply ask them what they are reading. Recognize them for what they've read and reward them for what they've done.
Right.
No one can. I could tell you 3 books you should read right now, but you're really not listening to me. You're nodding, but you're not listening. What you're most interested in is what's the next book that's good for you. And so Better Book Club creates a concept where you can go in and look at other people and see what they've read and decide for yourself what you want to read.
And this is something the marketers who are listening to us, they can easily implement within their companies.
Resources, a champion. We have the application to make it work. The current application is good. The one we're developing, that'll be out in May or so, will be even better. It'll make this come alive in your organization, and you will start to see quarter after quarter people read. And people get caught, we're going to read a book a month. You're not.
No.
You're not. If your team is reading 4 books a year, you are blowing it out of the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's not about getting your readers to read more. It's about getting your non-readers to start reading. It's about increasing the books per person in your organization, which is your knowledge per person in the organization, which is your diversity per person in the organization, which propels you forward.
Maybe we should get a champion for our Better Book Club.
Mic
You have to
drop.
have a champion.
Mic
You have to
drop.
have every program, resources, a champion, and the authority to fail.
Yep.
Right?
Let's talk about authority to fail.
Yeah.
Or let's just talk about failing. What's your biggest failure?
When I think back about who I was as a boss, and I cringe at some of the things I did and the way I made people feel, and the way I stunted the growth of my company and my clients, and most importantly, my people, right? And I would even say that I never got it right. Even now, when our team is very small, even in the last 6 months when we were about to sell the business, I was still not the perfect boss. But I was able to realize that who I was reflected the culture that we had,
Right.
reflected the business that we did. And so my biggest failure was hanging on to team members who I thought were talented but didn't fit. Right?
You taught me this.
It's a quadrant, right?
Oh, yeah.
You draw the X, and the up here is how good they are in your culture, and across is how well they perform, and you want to be up and to the right. You want to
Yeah.
perform well and or have the right culture mindset. If you perform well and you have the bad culture mindset, those are the most dangerous people in the organization, right?
Yep.
They're the
had
people
this.
that are literally rewriting your culture. They're stealing your culture from you because you allow them to exist.
Right. And they're doing good work, so
Oh.
you get scared to lose them.
Oh, you're scared to
Because you
death.
think the clients love them, this, that.
But
Meanwhile,
your
they're cancer to your
Your
organization.
entire team says if you'll put up with that,
It's
you're-
acceptable
you're
behavior.
not the boss I want to work for.
Right. Or it's
Right.
just acceptable behavior and it rubs off and they start acting
Yeah.
like that.
It's not worth it.
I think that goes for clients too, or projects, right? If
Right.
it's something that we've taken on, that I can remember one project that we took on that was miserable, and it was great work, but it was miserable work, and that is damaging to your culture
we
as
put
well.
every client on that grid. Revenue to us fit with who we want to be.
Yeah.
Right? And we didn't say, now if you're not in this quadrant, you're out. What we said is, let's come up with a game plan to move our clients up and to the right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's have specific conversations. By the way, it works on team members too. Right? I always want to use the word team member and not employee because it reminds me of who they are.
Right.
But in every situation, it's not about draw the grid, plot them, and get rid of people, get rid of clients. It's about draw the grid, plot them, and move them. Be willing to have the
Right.
crucial conversation. Be willing to put programs in place. Be willing to put the resources behind moving them to the right quadrant. Once you've tried, it makes letting them go much easier.
Oh,
For
yes,
sure.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And some people do it with we used to alleviate our guilt with severance. Like the higher our guilt, the bigger the severance, right?
Yep.
And with clients, the higher our guilt, the more we would handhold them to another agency, right? So
Right.
we would do whatever we had to do to alleviate guilt. But once you've tried moving people and they don't move, guilt goes down and transition becomes
And
faster.
you can't care more than they care. That's kind of
Yeah,
where
it's
we've ended up with a lot of things.
most of my failures are around people. The way I fired people, I would listen, here's how you fire someone, and then I would do it, and I'm like, that didn't feel right, but I kept doing it because someone told me it was right.
I Googled it for the first time.
I cried the first time I fired someone.
painful.
I cried and he comforted me.
And we learn from that. We learn.
I learned from it.
Every time we do it, and so the goal is that you come up with a way
true
that it
story.
works best for you, your culture, your people, your timing, and here's what we do. You almost want to get to the point you never fire. People are going to leave. People are going to
Yeah.
grow. You want to cheer for their growth. You say, I don't care. The first day we tell people, I don't care how you grow, and I don't care where it leads you, but I'm cheering for you.
Right.
Train them so well they can leave. Treat them so well they can
They
stay.
don't.
They
Yeah.
want to stay. Right. That's the whole concept. And so, but when they do leave, we would actually send a gift to their new job 2 weeks later and say, hey, welcome. Hope you're doing
Aw,
great.
smart.
Wish you all the success in the world. Now, it was half selfish because we wanted everybody else to see where they came from. We wanted them
Right.
to realize maybe what they left behind. But we earnestly wish them well and future success.
That's great. That is something we will likely implement.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very proud to be able to do that if we had
Right.
team members move on, to be
Yeah.
able to say,
Yeah.
You want
Great
them
job.
cheering for you out there in the community, helping you. We're in basically business is how well can you recruit now.
Right.
It's not. It used to
All
be
about.
It used to be that people were lucky to have a job. Now we're lucky to have them.
Yep.
It's totally turned the tables, and companies that are getting culture right will attract people that want to be there. We also had a call center. We had about 120 people, 24/7 shifts. These people have never been truly respected in their life. And our goal was to create a culture so good that they couldn't wait to come to work and they couldn't wait to tell their friends, right?
That's great.
We want them to drive up in their car and sit there and go, this is going to be awesome. The bathrooms are going to be clean. The kitchen's going to be stocked. The people around me are going to respect me. My boss is going to help me grow. I can't wait to go in. My people at home they're not respecting me at home. It was crazy getting here in traffic. I can't wait to get into this organized place where I'm respected.
Yeah.
Right? And then they go out and create the marketing you need to attract more people.
Absolutely.
And their smiles on the phone let you charge the rate you need
Right.
to become profitable.
Right.
So it all comes down to how we treat people. And if we treat them well and they do their job with a smile on their face, we win. Right? Ultimately, I'm the most selfish guy in the world. But a lot of good comes from it.
I don't think you're the most selfish guy in the world, Arnie. You, since you've exited your business, have spent a lot of your time investing in others and mentoring. I've been the benefit of that, which I'm most grateful for. But talk a little bit about what you're doing these days.
Well, Better Book Club is a small startup that we're working on. We're rebuilding the platform. I'm speaking to existing. We have about 100 companies globally using the application and about 5,000 users on the application. So we've got a lot of data. We've got a lot of experience. We're trying to take all of that experience and build a even in truly intuitive, gamified, fun application that any business can use. So that's a big chunk of my time. I have 2 college-age kids, and so I tend to go visit them from time to time.
You watch a lot of soccer.
One of them plays soccer, and so I do some of that. And then I've just me and my wife have just enjoyed getting to know Nashville. Business can take a lot of time from your schedule, and sometimes it's fun just to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we like to have, you were mentioning that your book has some actionable key takeaways in it. And we like to, with this podcast, have key takeaways that folks can go and implement in their business. Can you give us 1 or 2 learnings that we could tell people today to take and
the obvious
implement?
one is go buy the book.
Yes.
That's the obvious one.
Yeah, and it's a short read. I don't,
Right.
it's a short read. But here's the top 3 things in the book. 1, orientation checklist. New team member comes on board, and it's, that's Susie, that's Brenda, we'll teach you the rest later, right? But we had a 60-day checklist where we gave the checklist to the new team member and said, these are all the things that we want you to know about in 60 days, and these are the people you can learn it from. Go get it done.
that.
It becomes their job,
Right.
not one person's job, but their job to go around. They get to know their teammates. You find out how much initiative they have. They figure things out for themselves without a GPS telling them where to go.
Yeah.
So it's in the book, but a 60-day checklist. It's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Name your culture. Every culture deserves a name. We were a camel culture, and there's a story in the book about why we were a camel culture, and every company deserves, once you name it, you can start putting stuff in it and calling it yours, and your team can own it.
Right.
And you can take things away, you can put stuff in, but it grows into this legendary thing that is unique to your company, right? And so 60-day checklist, name your culture, and then the last thing is remember these words: culture reflects leadership.
Wow. I feel like there's been so many mic drop moments. But I feel like that anytime I spend any time with Arnie. So last thing, we do some fun segments. And for you, because we've had a lot of women on this show, and I would love to hear your perspective on the juggle is real. So you 2 kids, a spouse, while you were running your business, you've renovated houses during that time.
Right.
All of that stuff. Like basically the life I'm living right now with the, puppy, cat, boy, girl, husband, and business. You've been there. And a lot of our listeners are there right now.
Right.
Talk.
Well, the number one thing is that the younger your business is, the more likely you're the center point of your business. You're doing everything, and you've hired people, and you're giving them things to do that you don't want to do. And that's your mentality, where at some point that will wear you out, and you have to reverse the whole thing, right? The reverse the whole thing is you stop doing things and they start doing more. Your job is to cheer for them, not to actually do the things anymore. And so there's a transition that happens there. How does it happen? It happens this key way. A great executive assistant will start to help you move things off your plate to someone else's plate. And it won't be the things that you tell them. If you're telling someone how to help you, you've defeated the purpose. You have to give them permission to look into your life and figure out how to best help you, and then they'll start taking the weights off. And the first one, you'll barely notice. You're like, did you take the weight off? Because I can't feel it, right? But the third one, you'll start to notice, and all of a sudden, the load becomes lighter, and the perspective becomes brighter, and you start to look up at the world as opposed to down at why everything's going wrong.
Right.
And so I would tell you that it's first, realize it's you. Second, get some help. We come across these shows and there'll be a hoarder. They're trying to help a hoarder, someone who's gotten stuff, and they'll walk in the house and there'll be a box on the floor, and it's obviously just a broken box, and they'll go to pick it up and they go, no, I'm saving that. I'm saving that. That's from 3 years ago, and I got to return it next week, and I just haven't done it. Like, they come up with all these reasons why we can't move this box, and we do that as the CEOs, founders, as the presidents of our own companies. People come in and say, let me help you with that. You go, oh, no. I can only do that.
And then there's guilt associated with it too.
Oh,
because I feel guilty having people take things off my plate because it's like, well, I should do this.
And so that's that reversal that we have to come up with. It's not if you're a solopreneur, right, or a smallerpreneur, then you get to be the center of the company. But once you start, and it's great. Like, you can be a great little business, lifestyle business, do things for your family, do things for yourself. That's a great little business. But as you start to scale, there's a point to where you can't do it, and your ability to give up the things you do will determine your ability to grow the things you do.
I love that. And I'm going to ask you to give one more experience share. We know each other through EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization. Talk quickly about your experiences with EO and what EO means to you.
EO, I've been a member for 15 years, and I joined like everybody else joined because I was lost, right? My business wasn't as good as it could be. I didn't think anybody understood my problems. I didn't think that anyone could be having the kind of problems I did, and I just wanted to be. Maybe these other people knew something I didn't. Maybe there was a secret, right?
Right.
And it turns out there is no secret, right? But what is awesome is EO is the experiences of others. Everybody who's ever grown a business has gone through these growing pains, and they've experienced these things that I've been talking about this whole podcast.
Right.
And they have a possible way to fix it. And so it's O to R&D, rip off and duplicate, learn, implement, get it wrong till you get it right, and move forward. Forget the fact that EO brings great speakers, incredible experts on a ton of subjects that we get to learn from. Forget that you get to travel and see some really cool things in an exclusive way. If you only learn from the experiences of the folks in your forum and in your chapter, it makes it worth all my time. Makes it worth all the dues, and it's been a win for me and my family.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the chance to hang out with you guys and be a little bit relevant. Maybe one thing I said helps
Very
one
relevant.
person be a better business, which helps their team be a better people. The greatest thing about Better Book Club in our organization was that not only does it affect the person who's reading, but that reading affects their family. And that family, the impact that you as a boss have over your team member, that then you by extension you have over their family, is a great responsibility, right?
Right.
And so I always want to be on the positive side of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'll leave you with that, is that realize that you have a lot of influence, and how you lead your company every day will reflect that influence.
I love that. Well, thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's worth doing.
Yeah.
Worth
That
doing
was
wrong.
great.